The story of Muammar Gaddafi's fall is one of the most dramatic political upheavals of the 21st century. It is a tale of revolution, betrayal, foreign intervention, and the violent end of one of the world's most infamous leaders. For over 4 decades, Gaddafi ruled Libya with an iron fist, sometimes adored, often feared, and always controversial. Yet in 2011, his rule collapsed in a matter of months, ending with his brutal death at the hands of rebels. This is the story of how Gaddafi went from being the undisputed ruler of Libya to a hunted man, hiding in drainage pipes before being executed by his own people. Gaddafi's rise to power. To understand his fall, we must first revisit how he came to power. Born in 1942, in the desert region of Sirte, Gaddafi came from a poor Bedouin family. As a young man, he was deeply influenced by Arab nationalism, especially the ideas of Egypt's President Gamal Abdel Nasser. In 1969, at just 27 years old, Gaddafi led a bloodless coup against Libya's King Idris. He quickly established himself as the leader of the new Libyan Arab Republic, portraying himself as a revolutionary figure. He banned political parties, expelled Western military bases, and nationalized oil. With Libya's vast petroleum wealth, he built schools, hospitals, and housing projects. For many Libyans, the early years of his rule brought modernization and pride. But Gaddafi was no ordinary leader. He styled himself as the brother leader and guide of the revolution, not a president. He wrote his own political manifesto, the Green Book, which outlined his Third International Theory, a mix of socialism, Islam, and tribal politics. His rule became increasingly eccentric and authoritarian, marked by repression, surveillance, and cult-like devotion. Dictatorship and repression. By the 1980s, Gaddafi was known worldwide as both a revolutionary and a pariah. He funded militant groups across Africa and the Middle East, earning accusations of sponsoring terrorism. Libya was linked to the 1986 Berlin discotheque bombing and the 1988 Lockerbie bombing of Pan Am Flight 103, which killed 270 people. Inside Libya, dissent was crushed brutally. Gaddafi's regime carried out public executions, imprisoned dissidents, and used fear to maintain control. His revolutionary committee spied on ordinary citizens, ensuring loyalty through intimidation. Despite repression, Gaddafi also used oil wealth to provide Libyans with some of the highest living standards in Africa. Free education, healthcare, and subsidized housing were common. To his supporters, he was a revolutionary who gave dignity to Libyans. To his enemies, he was a tyrant who ruled with brutality. The Arab Spring ignites. By 2011, Gaddafi had been in power for 42 years. Many believed he was untouchable. But the Arab Spring was sweeping across the Middle East and North Africa. Starting in Tunisia and Egypt, mass protests toppled longtime dictators. Ordinary people, fueled by anger over corruption, unemployment, and lack of freedoms, demanded change. In February 2011, the spark reached Libya. Inspired by events in neighboring countries, protests erupted in Benghazi, Libya's second-largest city. Demonstrators called for an end to Gaddafi's rule, chanting for freedom and dignity. The regime's response was swift and violent. Security forces opened fire on crowds, killing dozens. Instead of intimidating the population into submission, the violence ignited nationwide outrage. The protests spread to other cities, Misrata, Zawiya, and eventually even parts of Tripoli. Libya descends into civil war. What began as peaceful demonstrations quickly escalated into armed conflict. Tribal groups, defected soldiers, and angry civilians took up weapons against the regime. The opposition formed the National Transitional Council, NTC, declaring itself the legitimate representative of the Libyan people. Gaddafi vowed to crush the rebellion. In fiery speeches, he called the rebels rats and cockroaches. He threatened to hunt them down house by house, alley by alley. His son, Saif al-Islam Gaddafi, appeared on television promising rivers of blood if the uprising continued. Libya plunged into civil war. Rebel-held cities became battlegrounds, and the regime unleashed heavy weapons, artillery, and even warplanes against civilians. The international community watched in horror as reports of massacres emerged. NATO and international intervention. The turning point came in March 2011. As Gaddafi's forces closed in on Benghazi, a city of nearly 1 million people, he promised no mercy for rebels. Fearing a massacre, the United Nations authorized military intervention to protect civilians. NATO launched airstrikes against Gaddafi's forces. Warplanes from the US, France, and Britain bombed tanks, artillery, and command centers. For the rebels, this intervention was a lifeline. Suddenly, Gaddafi's overwhelming military advantage was neutralized. The NATO bombing campaign lasted for months, weakening the regime's grip. Cities like Misrata became symbols of resistance as rebels fought street by street against government troops. Slowly, the balance shifted. The fall of Tripoli. By the summer of 2011, Gaddafi's hold on power was collapsing. Rebel forces, backed by NATO airstrikes, advanced towards Tripoli. In August, they launched a final assault known as Operation Mermaid Dawn. Within days, Tripoli fell. Crowds stormed Gaddafi's compound, the Bab al-Azizia. The once feared fortress was looted, its walls covered in graffiti. The regime that had seemed invincible for 4 decades was crumbling. Yet Gaddafi himself was nowhere to be found. The hunt for Gaddafi. As rebel forces closed in, Gaddafi went into hiding. Rumors swirled about his location. Some said he fled to the desert, others believed he was hiding in loyalist strongholds. His family scattered, some escaping to Algeria, others captured or killed. By October 2011, Gaddafi was cornered in his hometown of Sirte. The city became the last bastion of loyalist resistance. For weeks, it endured heavy bombardment and fierce fighting. Rebel forces tightened the noose, determined to capture or kill the former dictator. The death of Gaddafi. On October 20, 2011, Gaddafi's convoy attempted to flee Sirte. NATO aircraft attacked the vehicles, forcing them to scatter. Gaddafi survived the airstrike but was injured and trapped. Rebels soon discovered him hiding in a drainage pipe, surrounded by loyalists. Video footage captured the chaotic moment, fighters shouting, dragging him out and beating him. The once powerful leader was bloodied, disoriented, and pleading for his life. What happened next remains controversial. Officially, the NTC claimed he died from crossfire, but videos clearly showed rebels torturing him before executing him. Within hours, the news spread worldwide. Muammar Gaddafi was dead. His body was displayed in a freezer in Misrata for days, as crowds came to view the fallen dictator. For many Libyans, it was the end of an era of fear. For others, it was a brutal reminder of the chaos to come. Libya after Gaddafi. The world expected Libya to rebuild after Gaddafi's fall. Instead, the country descended into instability and chaos. Without strong institutions, rival militias and tribes fought for control. The dream of democracy gave way to civil war, fragmentation, and foreign interference. Even today, Libya remains divided between rival governments, warlords, and foreign powers. The promise of the Arab Spring turned into years of suffering. For many Libyans, the fall of Gaddafi ended one dictatorship but unleashed new struggles. His dramatic downfall, from ruling palaces to hiding in a drainage pipe, became one of the most striking images of the Arab Spring. But the aftermath serves as a warning. Toppling a dictator is only the first step. Building peace and democracy is far harder.